We are rolling and you can speak whenever you're ready.
Wait! Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry for the way I sound today. Well, how nice to have you both here, Frank Oz, Alan
Tudyk.
Tudyk.
Yes.
I wanted to hear you say it. I wanted to hear you say it. You know, I have learned through the years, don't ask somebody else how he pronounces his name, ask him. Tudyk. All right. Anyway, I have to tell you that Death at a Funeral made me laugh. I liked it so much. And I've been telling everybody, you know, that's the thing about if you review films, every time you go out, what good movie have you seen lately? So you're the one I've been talking of.
Oh, great. Thanks a lot.
And you open here June 29th.
Yeah.
So anyway, Frank, let's start this conversation with you because I didn't realize that you were born in England.
I was born in England, but I moved when I was 6 months old, so there's not much of a British accent. Those babies don't get British accents that early. We moved to Belgium for about 5 years and then immigrated to the United States.
So do you carry a dual passport?
No, I'm an American citizen.
American
I was
citizen.
naturalized.
So how did you come to be chosen as the director of Death at a Funeral?
I was given the script, and the production company was given a script, and we knew each other, and that's kind of what happened.
And you said yes.
Well, as soon as I read it, it's rare that things make you laugh out loud, and also and touch you. So it's hard to say no to that. And I was looking for a small budget movie to do. I wanted that.
I was quite amazed when I read in the production notes that you did all of this at Ealing Studios, because it looks like a lot of it is on location. I mean, where you chose houses and things.
The actual house was on location. That was 9 days shooting, about an hour outside of London and Henley. But the rest of it, the 5.5 weeks, it was all inside a studio. It was all built.
So all the interiors are the rooms and
Everything was
all
Ealing
that.
Studios, all built in the soundstage.
See, I go back to all those wonderful Ealing Studios comedies.
Alec Guinness, Peter Sellers, etc.
Oh, yes, yes,
It's
yes. Did any of that, do you think, kind of wash over?
I don't know. I know there was a nice feeling of history there. It was because you saw their photos on the walls as you walked along. It was really wonderful.
The other thing that was amazing to me is that, excuse me, it opens up where they're bringing this coffin into this house, and the service then is going to be in the home. Do they still do that in England?
I don't know. I think some people do that in the United States too. I mean, I've been to wakes in the United States where it's done in private homes, or wake singular. So I think it's something that people do, and it's kind of personal. It's kind of nice. It's a very small way to do it.
Did you feel any particular pressure, I guess for lack of a better word, when you start dealing with people's loved ones and death? Did you feel that there might be a line at which you could cross the line and offend people?
I hope so. I don't want to be safe. No, I didn't think about that. If it was funny, I like being a bit subversive.
Well, funny you can count on, very definitely. The other thing that is interesting to me is that you cast a little person in a role that wasn't written for a little person. So how did that come about?
Well, the part of Peter, the only American in the movie, was written for a normal-sized person. We actually asked a couple of actors, stars, to do it, normal-sized stars, and they turned us down. And I don't know why, but I thought of Peter Dinklage, not because he was a dwarf and a little person, but although the look of that gives an energy to the casting, just the look, but mainly because he's such a terrific actor. That's the real reason I got him. I've always admired his acting. I
must say to you that in the trailer, I think they give away too much of the plot.
Listen, there's absolutely no argument from me. Every filmmaker feels the same way as you do, but I'm not part of the marketing. They listen to me. I must say, This company, SKE, listens to me much more than any other company. They've been very generous. But still, you know, they have to sell the movie. And that's what they do, and that's kind of, they have to do what they think is best.
Well, I might take issue with them on that. But then,
Yeah,
they're not telling me how to do my job, so I won't tell them how to do
it's
their
something
job.
it's kind of constant between directors, because essentially what I do is I make the very best car I can possibly make under the best economic conditions, and they can drive it off the lot anywhere they want to because they own it, and that's fair. Now, to be fair to them, they've been very generous and supportive of me, of my thoughts, and listening to me. So this is much better than other studios, let me tell you, much better.
Let's get Alan into the conversation now.
Why?
You've been sitting there very quietly, Alan.
Come on, Frank.
I don't understand why, but go ahead if you want to.
No, I do it this way because it does make editing a little easier, you know, not to have people talking on top of one another. And anyway, some of the questions are for Frank, and now we come to your questions. So first of all, let's get a little about your local background. You're from Plano
Yes, ma'am.
originally, and you went to high school where?
At the Plano Senior High. When there was only Plano Senior High and Plano East back then, and now I hear there's like another Plano West, but it was Plano Senior High. I went to Davis, Haggard, Vines, then Plano Senior High. So my whole schooling there was there.
Is that where you got interested in theater?
It was. At Davis Elementary, the talent show when I was in the 5th grade was my first time on stage, and really loved it. And my mom put me in the Plano Community Theater production of Fabulous Fable Factory, which we performed at Collin Creek Mall. And really from there, I was completely hooked. Going into the 6th grade, I was completely hooked and went into the speech classes there. And they have competitions where you can compete in acting, which is it's an odd thing to do ultimately, but I guess it gives you a competitive spirit, which you need in getting acting work. But you compete for trophies in acting, and I did that through to my senior year.
And how many trophies?
I won a great deal when I was in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And then I turned that 15, 16, and then I was skateboarding and didn't care anymore, and I was wearing black, and I had my hair spiked up for a while. And then I got back into it in the senior high, and yeah, was winning again, I guess. Went to state, and it was nice.
And the rest is history.
And I guess so.
You were in Spamalot on Broadway, and is that what led to your getting Death at a Funeral?
No. Although it's interesting because I did Spamalot, I think, right before I did Death at a Funeral, and so I was speaking in an English accent for, how long did it? 6 months. It's like 200 performances. I was Lancelot, and but then I also had a French accent for the French Taunter, and the Knight Who Says Knee, and then a Scottish brogue for Tim the Enchanter. So I had a lot of accents, but then went right into this. So I've been working with an English accent right before, so it did help.
Because you and Peter Dinklage are the only Yanks in the cast.
Right.
Did they treat you differently, the rest of the cast?
I think they looked up to us. Not awful. That's not true. No, I don't know if they did or not. Everybody was so nice. Actually, the only difference was that they were very helpful. Like, I know you don't know anybody in town. Why don't you come over for dinner? Type of thing. Let me help you get around. That was the only way.
It's an ensemble cast, and everybody is really well cast. But let's face it, because of your role, the kind of role that it is, you're the one people are going to talk about on the way out. Because you accidentally take some high-powered designer drug of some kind, and you just go out of your gourd.
Yes.
And so how much of that was actually written, Alan, and how much of it did you have to invent as far as the reactions to the drug?
Well, it's interesting. Much of it was written, some was written and some was not. Sometimes there would be a note that says, Simon, my character, is playing with the toilet paper. And so that is written, but how you do that is decided on the day with Frank, and how just it's about playing and getting into the play. And then what's great is working with Frank is he lets you come up with lines in the moment. You'll do what's in the script, and then there's always a couple of takes at the end where you get to investigate what something new, do something different. And a lot of those takes ended up in the movie, and a lot of lines that we just came up with on the day, not just myself, but all the other actors. Because when I saw it the first time, those are always the ones I laugh so much at, because I know that they weren't in the script, because I'd never seen them before, and he came, some really good. There's some really funny actors in the movie. They came up with some good stuff.
How nervous were you about doing the nude scene?
I was a little nervous doing Nudity.
First time?
Well, and in film, definitely. I'd done Nudity on stage before, like 3 times. I did Nudity in Dallas. Before I even left Dallas in 1992, I was in a A.R. Gurney Jr. play called Jake 2, T-O-O, wink, and I had to be naked on stage. And then off Broadway in a Paul Rudnick play. And I was worried about film, because that's one thing, it's always going to be there. It's always going to be there. So I was a little nervous about knowing that everybody can just look at it. Will be there. But what's good is that we can't ever get younger. We're always getting older. So I have, at least on film, preserved. The picture was taken when I'm in my 30s, as opposed to another cast member who shows his backside. He was in his 70s. So I think of the two of us, I got the better deal. I got to capture a little younger, and he's doing his first nudity on film in his 70s. So.
How did you prepare? Did you lose weight? Did you work out? Did you use body makeup?
I tried to. I had, for Lancelot and for the Spamalot, I had to get really big, or I got really big. There's singing lines I had to sing about, I'm big and strong and hot, my name is Lancelot, and so I had gotten muscly. And when I got this role, I stopped lifting weights and just was jogging and riding a bicycle and trying to lose the weight, because Simon is not, the character himself is not somebody you see as bodybuilding. And English people don't do that as much as we do as Americans, that sort of body sculpting stuff. And so I was doing my best to try to come down, and so I ended up getting pretty thin. Like all the pictures of that time when we were shooting that movie, gosh, I lost a lot of weight. I think I lost at least 5 to 7 pounds, somewhere in there. And that's a lot for me.
No body double?
No body double. No, that's all me, Bobbie. That's all me.
Excuse me. Okay, let's now have a 2-shot,
Okay,
if I may, please.
we are in a 2.
Okay. Frank, did you audition a number of actors for the role of Simon?
Not a number of them. Just I always wanted Alan, but we didn't audition. Auditioned a couple, and then we offered it to a couple of stars. But I think really, because of the marketing, rightfully so, I understand the studio wanted to have some stars, but I saw Alan's tape and I just wanted him, and then the studio saw him and loved him.
What was in his tape that made you want him?
I could just see his comedy chops. I could just sense that he knew comedy, and he knew comedy in such a way that it was honest, which is the most important thing for me.
And as far as the other cast members, did you go to England and cast them?
I was in England and I cast, I went through a couple of hundred people, absolutely. And they're all fantastic people over there. They're all talented, but these were more talented, not more talented, but these were appropriate. And these are just great actors and actresses. I was blessed. I have 13 terrific actors and actresses.
Alan, of this movie, what day of shooting will you remember the most?
That's a good question. What day of shooting I'll remember the most is the last day of shooting.
Really?
It was, because it was all us. It was all my stuff.
That's right.
there's a point where my character is locked in a room, in a bathroom, and that was all saved to the last day of shooting. And so we shot everything in that bathroom, and there was a lot of stuff that we shot in there, even stuff that you won't see in the movie. And so we spent that entire day in that hot studio just coming up with different ways to show Simon being high on this designer drug. And it was just a day of invention and a day of fun. And it was a lot of stuff up there. And yeah, it was a good 12-hour, 13-hour day up in that room, just us working all the stuff out in that room.
Yeah.
It was great.
And you loved it.
It was great. It really was. Yeah, it was a fun day.
Well, I'm so happy to be able to talk with both of you and to be able to tell you in person how much I enjoyed the film and how much I will enjoy recommending it to everyone.
Thanks so
And
much.
thank you for making this trip. And Alan, welcome home.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay.
Good job, Bobbie. Whenever you are ready, we are rolling.
Okay. One of your main characters in this movie is a little person, and I understand the role was not written for a little person. So how did you come to, the question's too long. How did you come to cast a little person in a role that wasn't really written for a little person?
Peter Dinklage had some compromising photos of me and my family.
That's good. It's so funny. Some of the opening shots, we see a coffin being brought into a home for a service. Now, do they still do that, take the body to the home?
No, we completely lied. It was all made up. It was me. No one ever does that in the entire world. It was awful. I can't be straight. I can't do this over and over again. I'm sorry, I can't do it. You gotta cut it out there. Okay, I'll give you some reaction time. I'll give
No,
you some
that's
reactions.
fine, that's fine. What was it about Alan's tape that made you cast him?
His genitals. They were absolutely incredible. I've never seen genitals quite like that. I'm not saying they were large. I'm not saying that. But when we wanted to try and hide him with a codpiece, in England there's nothing that large.
You're blushing. Alan, you are really, you are blushing. Okay. All right, here we go.
But you were very good. You got some good reactions from yourself without laughing.
Yeah.
Which means I wasn't funny at all.
No, it's years.
You were very good. I was amazed.
It's like that guy who is on with Craig Ferguson who plays the guard.
I don't know him.
Oh, you don't
I
know
did
that?
not, no.
Well, anyway, he does this thing on Prince Charles doing a talk show.
Oh.
And he's got the big floppy ears and it's just, and the awful teeth and everything. And he's always doing stuff to this guard who has to stand there.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And he finally made him crack one time.
Oh, you did very good. That was great.
Okay. Now, where are we? Because you're dealing with the death of a person and it's a comedy, did you ever feel any pressure about not going too far and offending people?
No, I just did what I felt was right. You know, it was funny. I thought it was. It doesn't bother me offending people. You know.
That's good.
See, I was being straight for you this time. And then you started
I like
laughing.
it better when you do
when
it.
when you were, I was doing you a favor and you started laughing.
Okay. Excuse me. All right. Okay. All right, I think now we can come over to,
And camera's rolling. We have speed whenever you're ready.
Oh, it won't show. I was thinking your collar's out,
Oh,
it won't show.
okay. Oh, thank you.
Alan, how did you prepare to do all of this drug stuff? Because you do it extremely well.
Well, I grew up in Plano, which is, a pretty heavy drug school. There's a school there, Plano Senior High, known for heroin.
Okay,
Yes. It is. It really is.
Alan, did you take any of these drugs to experiment to see how a person would act under the influence?
No, I did not. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Were all of the reactions to the designer drug written into the script, or did you have to invent what he did?
Some were, and some weren't. Basically, there would be places.
Yeah, that's good. Okay. Were you nervous about doing the nude scene?
I was a little nervous. I was a bit. It was.
That's good.
It's really boring, Alan.
Look, I'm just trying to help.
How did you prepare? Did you do? How did you prepare? Did you do bodybuilding? Body double? What did you do?
I had actually worked out a lot for Spamalot, and then I had to lose weight so I could look English, because they're smaller than us. They are. They just are.
So no body double?
No body double. That's all me, Bobbie.
Hang on a second. Okay. All right. Of all the days of shooting, which one will you remember the most?
I would have to say the last one, the last day of shooting. It was, definitely the last one.
That's good. Okay.
7 days, 7 weeks, 1 day.
That should do it.
Okay, thank you.
I like those answers better.